guys, it's Glenn from Glenn'sCarCollection.com, and we're driving a real cool SUV today, the 2021 Aston Martin DBX. So if you follow the channel, you know we just posted a review of the 2020 Aston Martin Vantage, and I really like that car. Well, SUVs are hot, and Aston Martin, like Lamborghini, Ferrari, Lotus, they're on the SUV game now. And this should be one amazing ride. It's powered by the 4-liter twin-turbo AMG engine, twin-turbo V8, producing 542 horsepower, 516 foot-pounds of torque. So a little more than it produces in the Aston Martin Vantage, which is a good thing because this is a much heavier car. A couple of cool things about this car: it's rear drive with a limited slip differential, only goes into all-wheel drive when the front wheel slips. So technically it is an all-wheel drive car, but 99% of the time or 90% of the time it drives in rear drive, and that's why it drives so good. These are some of the coolest wheels I think you can get. I think on this car you have different optional wheels. The wheels here are 20, I have to look them up. They are 22s. Wow. And that's probably one of the best looking wheels I've seen as far as design goes. This is just looks so cool how it goes through everything. Must be tough to clean, but it looks gorgeous. So you have 22s. The ride height, you can see there's a big gap here, and I guess that's because it's all-wheel drive and it probably goes off-road. Like Cayennes, I'm sure it's going to see soccer duty and country clubs and golf clubs, so you certainly don't need it, but you can see what the ride height is right here. Now the back looks really good. It's really grown on me. It's got like the Vantage back here as well, where at first I didn't like it, but it looks really, really cool. And we could, let's see, pop that open. So it's got really good storage. You have a security blocker here that obviously can be removed. You can definitely fit 2 sets of golf clubs. I would even say 2 sets of hockey bags. So you got plenty of room here, and it looks like the back seats fold down, and it looks like you have the baby seat anchors as well. I'm sure this is motorized, and I just don't know how to do it. Here we go. There we go. I guess you just pull down, it'll close itself. Now you also have a really big back seat. So just like the Urus, the X5M, the Cayenne, here you have a double sunroof glass, and you also have very, very comfortable back here. And the back seat controls, it looks like they have their own climate controls, can lock and unlock the doors, and looks pretty cool. Now I thought this was like a pen stuck in the seat here. I don't know what this is for, maybe just to separate the leather, pop into these cushions, but this car has a lot of options. It starts at about $176,900, I believe, and this one is about $220,000, $230,000 new, and you can get it for a fraction of that cost. Now with about 4,000 miles on it. You even have some vent controls here. Let's go into the front and fire it up. So you have the same, just like the Vantage or the GTR, how the doors open like that. Again, big heavy door. Surprising how heavy it is actually, and it's cantered at an angle to clear curbs, but obviously it's high enough. You don't need to clear any curbs. All right, so looking on the side, we're going to put our key there. I'm always paranoid I'll lose the key. Just hit over 4,000 miles this car. And one thing YouTube can't tell you is smell, and this car smells terrific. It really does. It must be the leather. All right, so let's fire it up. So just like the other Aston Martins, park, reverse, neutral, drive, and here's the start button right here. I was looking for it before, but it's right here. The parking brake is a little hidden. The parking brake is all the way over here that you push in or take out. Still not keen on how they do the mirror controls. You can go left and right. If you hold it to the left, it'll fold the mirrors, bring it back to the right, and then you have your power seat, your child lock. Very rich leather. You're going to hear the air conditioning control, but if we go into the modes, you have, so it's an off-roader. You got terrain, terrain plus, GT mode, which is probably your comfort. Individual, we could set stuff. Sport, and I noticed with Sport Plus, it actually takes off your it looks like traction control and stability control. Since it's not my car and I don't want to buy it, I'm going to keep it in sport mode for this drive. Now this car is a fully loaded car, so it starts at $176,900. The option list here is crazy. I've never seen options like this, bringing this car up to $226,000, and that includes $3,000 in destination. So the most expensive option here, the paint, like I said, the tungsten silver paint, which really pops, I can't tell if that's a $5,000 or $6,000 paint, but what's glaring here is this Argento gray leather, which looks gorgeous, by the way, and smells even better. $15,200. Amazing. So there's a lot of options here, like the Elegance pack, the Indulgence packs. We'll talk about that more as we go on in the video. The wood veneer here is a $2,700 option. The leather headliner is another like $3,000 option, but the carpet color is $1,600. I mean, they get you for everything in this car. So you know what? You buy it used from DCH. That's who you buy it from. So special thanks to DCH Acura in Verona, New Jersey. They always have about 80 Glen cars. So they have everything from Urises to this car to 992s to GT3s, you name it. All right, so enough talking. These are all your safety stuff here. Do we really care about that? So let's see the cameras. This looks like a 360 camera. And then your start, stop, your lane keeping, and then your hill descent if you go off-road. So let's pull this into drive. Now we can go into sport mode. Right now we're drive automatic, and it's a torque converter automatic. We could press on the paddle, and that'll put us into manual mode. All right, and now we're in sport. We press the drive button again, and that'll keep us in drive. So this car, I'm going to assume, is not going to respond that well to paddles because it's not a dual clutch. It is a torque converter automatic. You're probably buying this car. You already have, like I said, an Aston Martin probably in your driveway to begin with. But I do like the paddles, and as you can see as I'm turning the wheel here, they are fixed to the steering column. All right, so we'll go here. The signal sounds a little funny to me. All right. So it's got a very meaty sound. I was going to say Aston Martin, but it's really AMG because the engine is AMG, so I think Aston Martin made a great choice with the AMG engines. And what I'll say about AMG is they make the best sounding turbocharged engines. This car has over 500 foot-pounds of torque, and you can really feel it under your foot. Now, we've driven a couple Urises on the channel, the X5M. Those cars are certainly more raw. At the end of the video, because I need to drive this, I'll let you know which I prefer of those cars. The Urus is always an event, and typically Aston Martins, if you get like a 2009 V8 Vantage, and DCH has one in stock, driving those cars is an event. It's much more visceral than a Porsche 911. Yeah, the 911 will have the resale value, cheaper maintenance, but you know, 911s are dime a dozens, let's face it. If you took a 997, unless it's a turbo or GT3, to a Cars and Coffee, unless it's a crazy color, nobody would even notice you. Where an Aston Martin is an event, people will definitely notice you, especially if you get one with a manual trans. It's a very visceral driving experience. All right, we'll take it through some twisties here. Again, this is probably not how most people are going to be driving this car, but you will hit twisties if you live in the Northeast, so you definitely want to see with the weight and how it handles them. So very smooth in here, very quiet. The engine noise is subdued. I really like the engine noise, what you can hear of it. With the windows down, it would get a little windy in here, but obviously you can hear the engine a lot more. Just like the V10 in my R8, you don't hear as much with the windows up. With the windows down, you can really hear that roar. I feel like the position is really high. I would even say higher than most SUVs. All right, so now we're in sport mode. As soon as I hit the brake, it downshifted to third, which was awesome. Obviously, it's got a high ride height, so you can't really go into sharp turns fast. But it is keeping body roll to a minimum. There's a little accelerate straightaway here, which will do a little acceleration. There we go. So it did kick down a few gears. That's an advantage of the torque converter automatic. Doesn't kick as fast as a dual clutch, but it did get the job done, and it seemed pretty smart getting us into the right gear for acceleration. All right, so now what we're going to do is we'll turn and go back to those S turns, and we'll make use of this over 500 foot-pounds of torque. Now again, the downside here would just be probably the transmission. And what I mean by that is it's a torque converter automatic, so it doesn't have that urgency of the dual clutch, and downshifts are very kind of slow to respond. And again, it's a heavy car, so it's not really made for these tight twisties here. But see how we downshift and there's a delay, And the upshifts are pretty quick, but it's obviously trying to make this as smooth as possible. Somebody has the money to buy this car, I assume already either has a classic Aston Martin or a newer Vantage in their garage and wants an SUV for the family. I really like this SUV so far. Like I said, it smells so good in here. It must be the leather, maybe that $15,000 leather gives off a lot of VOCs. I don't know, but it smells great. All right, so I like the instrumentation is digital, but it gives it an analog feel, right? So some other cars do that, and it looks pretty cool. So you probably, as an enthusiast, you like having a tachometer here. In real life, it's probably even useless. The speedometer is a little too small to see, so it's good that they have the numeric numbers in the middle, like the 911s do. Very, very smooth and comfortable ride. So compared to the BMW X3 and X5M and X3M, they have a pretty harsh ride. They have really wide tires, and you feel every bump. So far, this, rides like a Lexus. Now, why go in front of me if you're going to come to a complete stop just to turn, right? I just hit the paddle shifter. Downside about big paddle shifters, if you hit them, you'll hit them a lot accidentally. Now, when they're fixed to the column, Aston Martin does this, McLaren, Ferrari, Lamborghini. I prefer it fixed to the column, so I always know where it is, instead of like when you're turning on the road, you got to remember to hit it. But, the downside is when they have to be big, obviously, because your hands are going to be over. Downside of that, it's very easy to hit it when you're trying to do something else like I just did. Now, it's a luxury car first. As you see, we're stopped at this light. It's very quiet. Love the stitching here. Obviously, this is all options. Everything you see here is $3,000, $5,000, $15,000 option. Now, again, it's an all-wheel drive vehicle, but it drives a rear drive most of the time, and it has a limited slip differential. So they really made a driver's SUV. This is not your, typical looks, no show. What do they call that? No, all show and no go. This has a lot of go. All right, so special thanks again to DCH Acura in Verona, New Jersey for always having at least 80 Glen cars in stock. They also have new and used Acuras. I bought my wife a brand new RDX, and we love it. It's a great family car, so definitely check them out. Now, what do I like better, this or the Urus? Well, I think it depends what I'm doing. If I'm using this for my real estate business and I just want to be comfortable and get everywhere quickly, I would take this car. If I want to show off and have a more visceral driving experience, the Lamborghini all the way. Let me know what you prefer in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.